Welcome back to Swat&Vee Immigration News. Please don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel. In this video, we are going to talk about the latest immigration updates. Let's get into the video. After two failed attempts to get an immigration provision included in Senate Democrats' social safety net bill, Senate Catherine Cortez Masto said she remained confident that Democrats would ultimately propose one that will master with the U.S. Senate's parliamentarian. This is an important issue that has been done in the reconciliation bill, Cortez Masto said in a recent interview. This is our best shot at getting it done. Cortez Masto is part of a group of Senate Democrats led by a Senate majority with Debin, making their case to the parliamentarian, the arbiter of whether the immigration and other proposals conform to the Senate's arcane budget rules. We are going to do everything we can really to address immigration reform, Cortez Masto added. She called for addressing the status of those brought to the country illegally as children, known as dreamers, and those receiving temporary protected status, TPS, which allows people from countries plagued by wars or disasters to stay in the United States temporarily. About 12,000 Dreamers in Nevada participate in Deferred Action for Childhood Arrival, DACA, a federal program that protects eligible undocumented immigrants from deportation and allow them to work. Another 4,000 Nevada residents participate in the TPS program. Cortez Masto also wants any reform provision in the bill to address the status of farm and other essential workers, many of who are undocumented. Senator Jackie Rosen also backs an immigration provision in the Democrats' spending bill, known as the Build Back Better Act, which could provide about $2 trillion for family paid leave, child care subsidies, and other democratic priorities. Senator Rosen continues to strongly support the ongoing efforts in the Democratic caucus to look at all options to include immigration reform in reconciliation, and the caucus has been preparing a number of scenarios for the parliamentarian to consider. Her office said Friday. To pass the Democrats' signature measure, which stands little chance of winning gov votes, Democrats are using the budget reconciliation process that allows the Senate to pass the bill with a simple majority and avoid the need to win over the 10 Republicans to overcome a filibuster under the 50-50 divided Senate. But it also means that all 50 Senate Democrats must support the provision and overall bill. After initially disagreeing on the total cost and scope of the package, Democrats in both chambers are currently negotiating aspects of the measure to try to get an agreement by the end of the month. The state's U.S. House Democratic member also supports addressing immigration in the package. Last month, Representative Diana Titus wrote to Senate and House Democratic leaders and urged them to include immigration in the agenda bill. Parole, Cortez Masto, and the Democratic senators are expected to soon present their third immigration proposal to the parliamentarian, which would allow the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, to use its so-called parole authority. Both the House and Senate returned to recess next week, and the DHS parole eligible undocumented immigrants would be protected from deportation and allowed to work, but they would not have a pathway to citizenship. According to existing immigration law, the agency has broad discretion to provide parole, whether for humanitarian reasons or significant public benefit. According to the American Immigration Council, an immigrant rights group, parole would protect more than 130,000 immigrants in Nevada. According to the Liberal Center for American Progress, the proposal would cover more than 7 million people around the nation. On a call with reporters Wednesday, Lorella Praeli, co-president of the immigration advocacy group Community Change Action, said the DHS parole could be an appealing option, but more significant are needed. I think a lot of people depends on the details of what the parole language would look like, Praeli said, but we are committed to delivering for people this year. Her comments came as immigrant rights group is running outside the Lord G. George Federal Court building in Las Vegas to call on Congress to provide a pathway to permanent residency through the reconciliation process. As the event, dubbed Democrats Keep Your Promise and organized by Arriba Las Vegas Workers Center, TPS holders, and others voiced their frustration that Democratic majority has yet to deliver for those who on certain immigration status, who typically have citizens in their families and immediate cycles. Last resort, Cortez Masto, an immigration advocate, points to 4 other times when immigration provisions were used in the reconciliation bill with little effect on the budget compared to what Senate Democrats have so far offered. But those proposals were likely not contested, which would be needed to establish a precedent, according to Bill Hoagland, a vice president with the Bipartisan Policy Center and former Republican Senate Budget Committee staffer. I can see their frustration, Hoagland said, but as it stands today, there is no precedent for those previous pieces of legislation in reconciliation bill. Hoagland worked on 17th of the 22 reconciliation bill that have become law. If the parliamentarian does not rule in the Democrats' favor, 11th hour options would be to have the presiding officer, likely Vice President Kamala Harris, ignore the parliamentarian. Under that scenario, Harris would disregard the parliamentarian advice that the provision violates the budget law. The Senate is not required to accept the parliamentarian advice, but almost always does. That would trigger emotions from a Republican senator seeking to overturn Harris' ruling and take the parliamentarians' advice, but understanding rules that would need 60 votes, which would fail because 10 Democrats would have to vote all 50 Republicans to overturn Harris. Immigration advocates disregarding her advisory opinions and affirming that legalization does not run afoul of the bird rule. Hope it doesn't come to that because it will set up a violent situation in the Senate and governing in the future. Be careful what you wish for because if there is a switch in the Senate, then we would see this law being pulled back and forth, Hoagland said. And I don't think that is a good long-term sustainability of public policy provisions. I think we need sustainability and consistency. Hopefully, the details and information presented in this video is helpful. Please share this information with family and friends who may need it. You can also help us spread the message by sharing it on all social media. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and hit on the notification bell for more immigration updates. Bye!